The conference hall erupted in applause as Jada Daniels stepped off the stage, her crimson dress catching the sole spotlight like fire. She'd just announced BridgePay's acquisition of 3 major Korean fintech companies, and the tech world was reeling. But as she turned toward the VIP exit, she locked eyes with a face that made her blood run cold. Min-jun Park, the man who destroyed her 8 years ago, was standing 20 feet away, his expensive suit doing nothing to hide the shock draining the color from his face. Jada! His voice cracked across the distance. She didn't stop walking. Couldn't. Not here. Not now. Not after everything. 8 years earlier, Jada had been a different person entirely. At 20 years old, she'd landed her dream job at TechVision International's Singapore office. A bright-eyed marketing coordinator who believed hard work and passion could overcome anything. She'd grown up in Atlanta, the daughter of a single mother who cleaned offices to put her through community college. Singapore felt like another universe, all glass towers and infinite possibility. Min-jun had walked into her life on a Tuesday. He was 22, freshly appointed as a junior executive from the Korean headquarters, and he had the kind of confidence that came from generations of family wealth. The Parks owned one of Korea's oldest tech conglomerates, their name synonymous with innovation and power. "You're the one who redesigned our Southeast Asia campaign?" he'd asked, standing at her cubicle with a folder in his hands. Jada had looked up, trying not to seem nervous. "Yes, that was me. Is there a problem?" "A problem?" He'd smiled, and it transformed his entire face. "It's brilliant. I'm presenting it to the board next week. Would you help me with the pitch?" That was how it started. Late nights in the office turned into dinners. Dinners turned into long walks along Marina Bay. Within 3 months, Jada was in love in a way she'd never imagined possible. Min-jun was different from anyone she'd ever known, not just because of his world, but because he seemed to see her, really see her. "My father wants me to marry Sun Hee Kim," he told her one night, lying on her apartment floor, their fingers intertwined. "Her family owns half the shipping industry in Korea. It's been arranged since we were teenagers." Jada's stomach had dropped. "And what do you want?" "I want you." He'd kissed her then, deep and desperate. "I'll figure it out. Promise. Just give me time." She'd believed him. God, she'd believed every word. The pregnancy test had shown positive on a rainy November morning. Jada had stared at those 2 pink lines for 20 minutes, her mind racing through 1,000 scenarios. She was terrified, but underneath the fear was something else. Hope. Maybe this would be the thing that finally made Min-jun stand up to his family. Maybe they could build something real. She'd texted him to come to her apartment that evening. He'd arrived with takeout and that easy smile, completely unaware that his entire life was about to change. "I need to tell you something," Jada had said, her hands shaking as they sat on her small couch. "You're scaring me." "What's wrong?" "I'm pregnant." The silence that followed felt like falling. Min-jun's face had gone through so many expressions: shock, confusion, fear, and finally something cold and closed off that Jada had never seen before. "That's not possible," he'd said quietly. "Min-jun, we haven't exactly been careful. I know it's a shock, but we can figure this out together." "We can." "Jada." His voice was sharp now, cutting. "We were careful enough. This can't be mine." The words hit her like a physical blow. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I can't be responsible for this. You need to handle it." "Handle it?" Jada's voice rose, disbelief turning to anger. "Min-jun, this is your baby. Our baby." He'd stood up, running his hands through his hair. "I'm getting married in 3 months. To Sun Hee. The invitations are already printed. My entire family, every business connection we have, it's all arranged. I can't do this." "You're choosing a business arrangement over your own child? You don't understand the pressure I'm under. My father, the company, everything depends on this marriage." "I'm sorry, Jada. I really am. But this is how it has to be." She'd thrown him out that night, screaming through tears, watching him leave without looking back. But she'd still believed, in some naive corner of her heart, that he'd come around, that he'd show up the next day with apologies and a plan. Instead, immigration officers had shown up. "Ms. Daniels, there are irregularities with your work visa," the stern-faced officer had said, standing in her office with two colleagues. "You need to come with us." "What? No, there must be a mistake. I've been here for over a year. Everything's legitimate. Your visa has been flagged for review. You have 72 hours to arrange your departure from Singapore." Jada had frantically called her supervisor, the HR department, even the company lawyers. But everyone gave her the same helpless response. Someone with serious connections had made this happen, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. She'd known immediately who was behind it. Not Min-jun himself, probably, but his family. The Parks had the kind of power that could make problems disappear, and she was definitely a problem. 3 days later, Jada had boarded a plane back to Atlanta with a single suitcase, $300 in her bank account, and a baby growing inside her. She'd watched Singapore disappear through the window, tears streaming down her face, feeling more alone than she'd ever felt in her life. The first year back was the hardest. Jada had moved in with her mother in their cramped 2-bedroom apartment, the same one she'd fought so hard to escape. Her mother, Diane, had held her while she cried and never once said, "I told you so," even though Jada knew she'd been worried about the relationship from the start. "Baby, you're stronger than you know," Diane had said, rubbing her daughter's back as Jada sobbed into her shoulder. "You're going to get through this. We're going to get through this." Jada had given birth to Lily on a humid August evening, and the moment she'd held her daughter, something inside her had crystallized. This tiny person, with Min-jun's eyes and her own determined chin, deserved better than a mother drowning in self-pity. She deserved a mother who fought. But fighting was exhausting. Jada worked 3 jobs, barely sleeping, barely eating. She waitressed at a diner, cleaned houses on weekends, and picked up overnight shifts at a call center. Her mother watched Lily during the day, and somehow they made it work. But it wasn't enough. Jada could feel herself sinking, trapped in a cycle of poverty that seemed impossible to break. One night, delirious with exhaustion after a 16-hour day, Jada had been scrolling through her phone while Lily slept beside her. An ad had popped up for a free online coding bootcamp. She'd almost scrolled past it, but something made her pause. She'd always been good with technology, had even considered studying computer science before financial reality had pushed her toward a faster, cheaper degree path. "Why not?" she'd whispered to herself in the dark. "What have I got to lose?" That decision changed everything. Jada had thrown herself into learning code with the same desperate intensity she brought to everything else. While Lily napped, Jada studied. During her overnight call center shifts, she practiced on her phone. She learned Python, then JavaScript, then everything she could absorb about artificial intelligence and financial technology. The breakthrough had come 3 years later. Jada had been working a cleaning job at a small import-export business when she'd overheard the owner complaining about international payment systems. The fees were astronomical, the delays were killing his cash flow, and the existing solutions were all designed for major corporations, not small businesses like his. Jada had gone home that night and started building. She'd worked for 6 months straight, surviving on 4 hours of sleep, creating a prototype for a payment platform that could handle cross-border transactions quickly and cheaply using AI to optimize currency exchanges and predict the best transfer times. She'd called it BridgePay because it was meant to bridge the gap between small businesses and the global economy. Getting funding had been another battle. Jada had pitched to 43 investors before she found one who believed in her vision. 43 rejections, each one a small death, each one threatening to confirm every doubt she'd ever had about herself. But on the 44th pitch, a venture capitalist named Sarah Chun had leaned forward in her chair and smiled. "Ms. Daniels, when can you start?" The $2 million investment had felt surreal. Jada had actually called the bank 3 times to confirm the money was real. But it was just the beginning. BridgePay had exploded. Within 2 years, they'd processed over $1 billion in transactions. Within 4 years, they were valued at $3 billion. Major corporations were buying up her technology, and Jada's face was appearing in Forbes, Bloomberg, and TechCrunch. She'd moved her mother into a beautiful house in Buckhead. She'd enrolled Lily in one of Atlanta's best private schools. She'd built an empire from nothing but rage, determination, and code. And through it all, she'd never forgotten who had tried to erase her. When her CFO had suggested expanding into the Korean market, Jada had felt something dark and satisfying unfold in her chest. She'd spent months preparing, studying the Korean fintech landscape, identifying the weakest players, the ones most vulnerable to acquisition. And she'd been thrilled to discover that Park Technologies, Min-jun's family company, was struggling, hemorrhaging market share to more innovative competitors. Now, standing in that Seoul conference hall with Min-jun staring at her like he'd seen a ghost, Jada felt the weight of every sleepless night, every rejection, every moment she'd spent building herself back up from nothing. She let herself meet his eyes for one long moment, let him see exactly how much she'd become, and then she turned and walked away. He caught up with her in the hallway outside the VIP lounge, slightly out of breath. "Jada, please, just give me 5 minutes." She stopped, turning slowly. Up close, she could see how much he'd aged. There were lines around his eyes, gray threading through his hair. He looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. 5 minutes? She repeated, her voice ice. "You had me deported while I was pregnant with your child. I think you used up your minutes. I didn't know about the deportation. I swear. My father, your father." Jada laughed, sharp and bitter. "Of course, because you've never been responsible for a single decision in your entire life. Have you, Min-jun?" He flinched. "I was young. I was scared. The pressure from my family was. I was young too. I was scared too. But I didn't have the luxury of running away." "You're right," he said quietly. "You're absolutely right. What I did was unforgivable. But Jada, when you said you were pregnant, is there a child?" The question hung in the air between them. Jada could feel her heart pounding, 8 years of carefully constructed walls threatening to crack. But she'd come too far to crumble now. "That's none of your business anymore. Please." His voice broke. "I have thought about you every single day for 8 years. I married son he like I was supposed to. I did everything my father wanted. And I've been miserable every moment of it. If there's a chance that I have a child out there, I need to know." "You need." Jada's voice rose. "You need to know? What about what I needed 8 years ago? What about what your child needed, Min-jun? Where were your needs then?" Before he could respond, a woman's voice cut through the tension. "Min-jun? What's going on here?" They both turned. A petite Korean woman in an elegant designer suit was approaching. Her expression carefully neutral, but her eyes sharp. Sun-hee Kim, Jada realized. "The wife." "Nothing," Min-jun said quickly. "This is Jada Daniels, the CEO of BridgePay. We were just discussing." "I know who she is." Sun-hee's smile was cold. "Everyone knows who she is now. The woman who's destroying Korean tech companies one acquisition at a time. Tell me, Ms. Daniels, is Park Technologies on your list too?" The directness surprised Jada. She'd expected jealousy, perhaps anger, but not this calm calculation. "Your company's performance is a matter of public record, Mrs. Park. I'm sure you can draw your own conclusions." "I'm sure I can." Sun-hee turned to Min-jun. "Your mother is looking for you. Something about the quarterly reports." It was a dismissal, clear and final. Min-jun looked between the two women, something desperate in his eyes, but then he nodded and walked away. Once he was gone, he turned her full attention to Jada. "I know about you and Min-jun," she said quietly. "I've always known. Did you think the Park family wouldn't investigate every person in his life before the wedding?" Jada felt her stomach drop. "Then you know about the pregnancy?" "Yes. And the deportation. My mother-in-law's handiwork, I believe. Very efficient if morally questionable." Sun-hee's expression didn't change. "Did you keep the baby? Why do you care?" "Because I've spent 8 years married to a man who's in love with someone else. I'd like to know what I'm competing with." The honesty was startling. Jada found herself reassessing the woman in front of her. "You're not competing with anything. What Min-jun and I had died a long time ago. Did it? Sun-hee raised an eyebrow. Then why come to Korea? Why target companies in our sector? This feels personal, Ms. Daniels. It is personal. But not in the way you think. This isn't about Min-jun. This is about me proving that I can't be erased. That I matter. That no matter how hard someone tries to destroy me, I'll come back stronger. Sun-hee studied her for a long moment. I believe you. For what it's worth, I think what happened to you was unconscionable. But I also think you should know that the Park family is not what it once was. Min-jun's father is dying. Cancer. He has perhaps 6 months. The company is failing because the old man refuses to let go, refuses to innovate. And when he dies, everything falls to Min-jun, who has no idea how to save it. Why are you telling me this? Because you have a choice to make. You can destroy what's left of Park Technologies and complete your revenge. Or you can be better than the people who hurt you. Sun-hee's smile was sad. I know which choice I hope you make, but I understand if you choose differently. She walked away, leaving Jada standing alone in the hallway, her mind reeling. That evening, Jada sat in her hotel suite overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline, a glass of wine untouched in her hand. Her phone buzzed with congratulations from her board, from investors, from the press. BridgePay's stock had jumped 15% after today's announcement. Everything she'd worked for was coming together perfectly. So why did she feel so hollow? A video call request popped up on her laptop. Lily. Jada smiled for the first time all day and accepted it. Mom! Lily's face filled the screen, her grandmother visible behind her. How was the big speech? It went really well, baby. How was school? Boring without you. When are you coming home? 3 more days. I miss you so much. I miss you too. Lily hesitated, then blurted out. Grandma told me we're in Korea because that's where my dad is from. Is that true? Jada's heart stopped. She shot a look at her mother, who looked apologetic but unapologetic at the same time. They'd always told Lily age-appropriate truths about her father, a man who wasn't ready to be a parent, who lived far away. But they'd never discussed the details, never mentioned Korea specifically. That's true, Jada said carefully. But that's not why we're here. We're here for business. But he's there? In Korea? Yes, he is. Do you think? Lily's voice got small. Do you think he ever wonders about me? The question shattered something in Jada's chest. She'd spent 8 years building walls, protecting herself and Lily from the pain of abandonment. But her daughter was 8 years old now, old enough to start asking questions, old enough to start wanting answers. I think he wonders about you all the time, Jada said softly, surprised to find she meant it. Whatever else Min-jun was, he hadn't seemed like someone who'd forgotten. Maybe someday I could meet him? Maybe someday. But Lily, I need you to understand something. You don't need him to be complete. You are already everything you need to be all by yourself. Whether he's in your life or not doesn't change how amazing you are. Okay? Okay. Lily smiled, but there was a wistfulness in her eyes that hurt to see. I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby. More than anything in this world. After they hung up, Jada sat in silence for a long time. She thought about Sun-hee's words, about choices and revenge and being better. She thought about Lily's question, about a little girl who deserved to know where she came from. And she thought about Min-jun, young and scared and drowning in expectations, making the worst decision of his life. She wasn't that scared 20-year-old girl anymore. She was Jada Daniels, CEO of a $3 billion company, one of the most powerful women in tech. She didn't need revenge because she'd already won. The question was what kind of winner she wanted to be. The next morning, Jada called an emergency meeting with her executive team. They gathered in a borrowed conference room, puzzled by the sudden change in plans. I've made a decision about Park Technologies, Jada said, standing at the head of the table. We're not going to pursue acquisition. The room exploded with questions and protests. Her CFO looked like he might have a heart attack. Jada, they're vulnerable right now. We could get them for a fraction of their actual value. This is exactly what we've been working toward. No, Jada said firmly. What we've been working toward is building BridgePay into the best fintech company in the world. We don't need to destroy our competitors to succeed. Instead, I want us to offer Park Technologies a partnership. Fair terms, mutual benefit. They have infrastructure we can use, and we have technology they desperately need. This is about him, isn't it? Her COO said quietly. The ex. Yes, Jada admitted. And no. Yes, this is personal. But not because I still have feelings for him. It's personal because I refuse to become the kind of person who uses power to crush people the way I was crushed. I survived because I had to, because I had Lily depending on me. But survival isn't just about getting stronger. It's about staying human. The room was silent. Then Sarah Chun, her first investor and current board member, started clapping. Slowly, others joined in. That, Sarah said, is why I invested in you. Not because you were ruthless, but because you had vision and heart. Let's make this partnership happen. The partnership announcement 2 days later sent shockwaves through the tech world. BridgePay and Park Technologies, former rivals, joining forces to revolutionize Asian fintech. The press called it brilliant, unexpected, the kind of bold move that separated good CEOs from great ones. Min-jun had called her immediately after the announcement. Why? Was all he said. Because I have a daughter who asked me if her father ever thinks about her, Jada replied. And I realized that the story I tell her about him, about us, about all of this, that story matters more than revenge. Can I meet her? His voice was raw with hope and fear. Eventually. Maybe. If she wants to. But Min-jun, you need to understand something. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for her. And for me. Because I spent 8 years letting anger fuel me. And it got me here. But it won't take me any further. I need something else now. Something better. I understand. And Jada? Thank you. For everything you've built. For everything you've become. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. Yes, I did. But I gave myself better. Remember that. Before she left Seoul, Jada had one more visitor. Min-jun's mother, Mrs. Park, came to her hotel. She was thinner than Jada expected, worn down by illness and perhaps by guilt. I owe you an apology, Mrs. Park said, her English careful and precise. What I did was unforgivable. I thought I was protecting my family, but I was just afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of what people would think, afraid of losing control. I destroyed your life because of my fear. Jada studied the older woman, this person who had once seemed all-powerful, who now seemed frighteningly fragile. You didn't destroy my life. You tried to, but I didn't let you. I know, and you have become someone remarkable. My granddaughter must be very proud to have you as a mother. You know about Lily? I have always known. I have pictures that Min-jun doesn't know I have, sent by a private investigator I hired years ago. I have watched her grow from a distance. This beautiful child who has my son's eyes and your strength. I wanted to reach out so many times, but I didn't feel I had the right. I still don't. You don't, Jada agreed. But maybe someday, if Lily wants it, if she's ready, there could be a conversation. I can't promise more than that. Mrs. Park's eyes filled with tears. That is more than I deserve. Thank you. After she left, Jada stood at the window one last time, looking out at Seoul. This city had represented pain and anger for so long, but now it felt different. Lighter. Like she'd finally set down a burden she hadn't realized she'd been carrying. Her phone buzzed with a message from Lily. Come home soon, Mom. I love you. Jada smiled, typing back, On my way, baby. I love you more. 3 months later, Jada stood in her office in Atlanta, looking at a framed photo on her desk. It was from last week, taken at Lily's school career day. Lily stood between Jada and her grandmother, grinning at the camera, proud as anything. On the corner of the desk was another photo, newer. Lily and Min-jun, awkward but smiling, taken at their first supervised meeting in a Seoul park. It had been brief, tentative, but it was a start. Jada's assistant knocked on the door. The Forbes interview is here, Ms. Daniels. They want to talk about your journey, about becoming the youngest black woman to build a billion-dollar tech company. Send them in, Jada said. As the reporter set up, Jada thought about that scared 20-year-old girl getting on a plane out of Singapore, crying and broken and pregnant. If she could talk to that girl now, what would she say? You're going to survive this. More than survive. You're going to build something beautiful out of the ashes. You're going to prove that you can't be erased, that you matter, that your daughter matters. It's going to be hard, harder than anything you can imagine. But you're stronger than you know. And someday you're going to stand in soul and choose grace over revenge. And that choice will feel like freedom. Ms. Daniels? The reporter asked. Are you ready? Jada smiled. Yes, I'm ready. If you've made it this far in Jada's story, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me what you would have done in her position. Would you have chosen revenge or grace? And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories of resilience and transformation. Hit that like button if Jada's journey inspired you. Because stories like these, stories about people who refuse to stay broken, they matter. They remind us what we're capable of when we choose to rebuild ourselves, brick by brick, line of code by line of code, into something unstoppable. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.